Many of us have graduated college or simply celebrated moving into new chapters in our lives. Relatable, right? Well, let's go back to 2014 when two Dutch college grads traveled to Panama to volunteer, sightsee, and celebrate a new chapter in their own young lives. However, on this trip, Kris Kremers, 21, and Lisanne Froon, 22, would have their lives undone and vanish forever, while their loved ones, their community, the media, and the world abroad are left to sort through the wreckage of unanswered questions. I'm Ryan, and these are the most chilling unanswered questions from the Kris Kremer and Lisanne Froon case. Among the most haunting details of this case are the photos left behind in the wake of their bizarre disappearance. The photos. Let's take a look back at the found Canon SX270HS camera discovered in the contents of Lisanne Froon's backpack, found on June 24th along the Culebra River, roughly 6.2 to 9.3 miles away from Mirador. The scenic outlook and the division point between the idyllic hiking photos taken early afternoon, April 1st, and the 90 ghastly, eerie photos taken between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., April 8th. The photos taken on April 1st are a trade-off between Kris and Lisanne documenting each other and the scenes around them. These images are lively, vivid, in focus, tangible. The night photos from April 8th, however, are in stark contrast. These photos are in shadow, murky, unknown, and all around baffling. So, who is actually taking these photos in the night? Why wait days and days to take the pictures? What was the purpose? Some theories say to cast light, but they were in the possession of an iPhone. iPhone 4 and above all are equipped with flashlights. Were they taking pictures of landmarks? If so, why did it appear the user wasn't familiar with how to shoot with this camera? So, as a highly regarded selfie king among my friend groups, I have to say, I noticed a couple of discrepancies when it comes to the photos that Lisanne Froon and Kris Kremer took of each other versus the night photos. Let's get into it. When you compare the pictures from early on April 1st and before, you can see the composition of the frames are much different. The pictures taken of Kris Kremers from Lisanne Froon tend to have greater focus and better dynamics when it comes to the subject and frame relative to the scene around them. It's obvious of the two, she was a stronger photographer and she had the most intention in when she took pictures. When Lisanne was the subject and Kris was the photographer, the pictures were more often to be out of focus. The subject was out of scale with the dynamics around them. It's obvious to me that Lisanne is the stronger photographer of the two, and this makes sense because as far as we know, the Canon digital camera belonged to Lisanne, so she had more experience with shooting on this camera. So with her experience with this Canon camera, I have to ask, why are the night pictures so out of focus? Why are they so nonsensical? Why are they out of frame? Why are the shoots so close? Why are the subjects so out of focus? Many might say, well, this is easy to explain being lost in the dark jungle. But from what we see in this picture of scattered objects, the mirror, the map, also the picture with the plastic on top of the rock, it appears they were setting up subjects to be photographed. But for what reason? And if so, we can assume that Lisanne was most likely the one taking the pictures. So why were these pictures shot so close, so out of focus, so out of dynamics with the way that Lisanne normally shot, when she appeared to have greater command of shooting on the same camera prior to this? And even with the jungle being completely dark, the two women had the use of two cell phones for illumination. My mind can't escape the feeling that it wasn't Lisanne using this camera because the pictures just don't seem to be taken by the same person as the pictures earlier. There's so many questions that just don't make any sense and we have no answers for. Again, why take several days to snap the photos? The purpose is unknown. The photographer is unknown. Nothing makes sense. Many would wonder if this was an accident, why would these photos be so nebulous? Also, we know there are around 80 unreleased photos, all alleged to be black images. Why the ambiguity around an accident? However strange the photos, the Canon digital camera was merely one of multiple items in Lisanne Froon's backpack found on June 24th. Let's look at the backpack itself. Found roughly 6.2 to 9.3 miles away from the Mirador along the Culebra River by a woman who turned it in to the authorities. The woman and her husband adamantly claimed the bag hadn't been there the day before. The contents of the backpack are as follows. One black and gray Samsung camera with battery. One 16GB memory card. One black camera case. One white Samsung cell phone with battery, but no SIM card and no memory card, and a light blue cover. One black iPhone with red cover. One black bra. One flower pattern bra. One pair of pink rectangular glasses, not worn or damaged. One pair of black round glasses, not worn or damaged. One blue keychain with one key attached. One small personal item withheld. One card with the name L. Froon. Money totaling $88.30 US dollars. A theory is that the backpack managed to float a great distance down the turbulent Kalibre River without succumbing to water saturation and sinking, and while preserving the good condition of the electronics inside. Apparently they're not making backpacks the way they used to in the early 2010s anymore. But if you're liking this video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget to turn your notifications on, and let's get back into this case. Found after 10 weeks with all contents inside, it's curious that all the contents of the bag were not stolen or severely damaged. Could that imply that the bag had been in the possession of someone until its discovery? Or had it been left out in the elements of the wet jungle and managed to escape severe damage and pillaging by locals? Not to mention, there were 13 DNA samples lifted from the backpack, 2 male and 1 female. None match Kris or Lisanne. Who did these belong to? So, what's your take on the most resilient bag in modern history? Also, inside the backpack were the young woman's phones. Because of the confusing series of 911 calls and the failed PIN entry attempts by the young woman or perhaps someone else, I have to say, the erratic pattern of usage of their cell phones is another chilling unanswered question. The phone logs. The activity on Kris and Lisanne's phones spanned April 1st to April 11th. The sporadic nature of the calls still has the media and the masses scratching our heads. The first calls from help from Kris's iPhone 4 occurred at 4:30 p.m. on April 1st, followed by a 112 local emergency call at 4:41 p.m. from Lisanne's Samsung Galaxy S3. The young women are assumed lost in the jungle the night of April 1st. However, the most bizarre part is no other calls for help were made until the morning of April 2nd at 6:58 a.m. and 8:14 a.m. So why no calls throughout the night? And if one phone doesn't reach help, why not a congruent call from the other phone attempting to get help? That would be the logical approach. But again, nothing here is logical. Over the span of April 1st and April 11th, this pattern of erratic, unsynchronized calls and failed password login attempts continues until Lisanne's phone dies at 5 a.m. April 5th, and Kris's phone is turned off for the last time at 11:56 a.m. April 11th. I don't know about you, but if I were trapped in a jungle and had access to a signal, I would have called multiple times back to back anyone I can call, family, friends, to get help. But again, I've never been lost in a jungle, so it might be hard to say. But our final, chilling, unanswered question is, what do we make of the remains left behind by Kris and Lisanne? The remains. On June 19th, with the help of a local tribe, a pair of shorts, 2 shoes, and bone remains were found in the Alto Romero region, a few miles away from where it's believed the night photos may have been captured. Inside one of the shoes, Lisanne's foot was found cleanly cut inside of her wild beast boot, with skin and flesh remaining. 33 other bone fragments were found along the Kalibre River. Most of them were from Lisanne's upper leg. From Kris, only half of a partially broken pelvic bone and a rib bone from the right side were discovered. Her remains were bleached. That's right, bleached. Traces of phosphorus and lime were detected on Kris's bones, while Lisanne's remains were in their natural state. And to add to the bizarre, a rolled up lump of flesh was found on August 29, 2014. It belonged to Lisanne. And here's another grim fact. Other people's remains were found mixed in with Kris's and Lisanne's. Who did they belong to? So many eerie questions here. If these unfortunate events were all an accident, why were their remains scattered? Who bleached Kris's remains? How did some of the bone remains manage to get to the other side of a turbulent river without sinking? In the wake of the grim events that befell Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, what do we make of all of the obscurity? What do we construct of the lack of cohesive timeline of events? Was this truly an accident? Could the girls have intersected with one of the known gangs active in the region at the time? Why does it seem like the Panamanian authorities are content with a lack of tangible resolve? Have there been others that have suffered the same grim fate as Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon? For many of us, these unanswered questions still send a shiver up our spine and a cold current through our blood. We may never know what fully unfolded with Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, but I definitely have my theories, and I'm sure you do too. So let's talk in the comments. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.